ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा. So today is Shivaratri, so I pray for everybody have very special and a blessed Shivaratri. Uh, so today is a very special event. Even the devotees are in Braj, in Vrindavan, in Braj, even they celebrate Shivaratri. The devotees of Krishna, even when Lord Krishna was present in Vrindavan, they celebrated Shivaratri. They celebrated Shivaratri, and this celebration of Shivaratri is very, very special because Lord Shiva actually holds a very special position in the Vaishnava. In the Vaishnavas, among the Vaishnavas, the Lord Shiva is considered very, very special. He is actually considered very, very special. So today first I will start with reading a shloka from Brahma Samhita, which describes the action, which describes the personality of Lord Shiva. Kshiram yata dadi vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahi tatah pratak asti hetoho yas sambhutam api tatah samupaiti karyad govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Translation: just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same as nor different from its cause like milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation of the for the performance of the work of destruction. Purport: Shambhu, Shiva, is not a second godhead other than Krishna. Those who entertain such a discriminating sentiment commit a great offense against the Supreme Lord. The supremacy of Shambhu is subservient to that of Govinda. Hence, they are not really different from each other. The non-distinction is established by the fact that just as milk treated with acid into curd, so Godhead becomes a subservient when he himself attains a distinct personality by the addition of a particular element of adulteration. This personality has no independent initiative. The said adulterating principle is constituted of a combination of stupefying quality of the deluding energy the quality of non-plenitude of the marginal potency, and a slight degree of the ecstatic cognitive principle of the plenary spiritual potency. This specifically adulterated reflection of the principle of the subjective portion of the divinity is Sadashiva in the form of the effulgent masculine symbol God Shambhu, from whom Ridradeva is manifested. In the work of mundane creation as the material cause, in the work of preservation by the destruction of the sundry asuras, in the work of destruction to conduct the whole operation, Govinda manifests himself as Guna Avatara in the form of Shambhu, who is the separated portion of Govinda imbued with the principle of his subjective plenary portion. Now, if I have to explain this properly, it goes like this. Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna is considered to be like milk, right? He is considered to be like milk. Now, this milk, Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna, is that pure milk. Now, to that milk, if I add a little bit of acid or a little bit of curd, yogurt, what you call in America, they basically use, they don't use curd. Curd is used for paneer, but basically, like if you use the term like this yogurt, so to milk, if I add some yogurt, then after some time, this milk transforms into yogurt. Now, the question here is, milk can transform into yogurt, but yogurt cannot transform into milk, isn't it? So the milk can transform into yogurt, but yogurt cannot transform into milk. So this milk is Lord Vishnu, who is the origin, of everything. And this yogurt is a transformation of that milk, right? So this transformation of this milk to yogurt, that action, so Krishna, who is transcendental, so Krishna is transcendental to the modes of material nature. Krishna does not take part in the modes of material nature. Krishna is always above the modes of material nature. But when Krishna is mixed with tamoguna, when Krishna wants to mix with tamoguna, he mixes with tamoguna to manage a material affair, that is destruction of this material world, this destruction, to make this destruction pralaya. Lord Shiva dances during pralaya, the dance of Lord Shiva. Rudra means anger, fire. So when this destruction has to be done, so Lord Krishna cannot remain as Krishna and do this work. So Krishna transforms into Lord Shiva. He has touched the mode of ignorance. And he has touched this mode of ignorance, and he has transformed himself into a different personality. So that is Krishna, but for a particular purpose, this Krishna has transferred himself into a different personality. And that personality is actually Lord Shiva. So this Lord Shiva, in one sense, him and Vishnu are the same yet not the same. You cannot worship them at the same level. That is the difference. Because Lord Krishna is transcendental, Lord Shiva is a transformation of Krishna who touches this tamoguna. So he does not behave the same way as Krishna. There is a difference. he behaves differently as Lord Shiva. So one result is obtained by worshipping one form of the Lord, and another result is obtained by worshipping the Lord Krishna. However, the devotees of the Lord understand very clearly that this Lord Shiva is a transformation of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. He is a complete, original, and pure transformation. So, devotees of Krishna treat Lord Shiva as the ultimate devotee, because Lord Shiva, when any expansion of Krishna, they become subservient to Krishna. Let me give you the example. Like the first expansion of Krishna is actually Balaram. The Balaram becomes immediately subservient to Krishna. So from Balaram comes the immediate Lord Vishnu expansions. Now these Vishnu expansions also become subservient to Krishna. So anything that emanates from Krishna directly, the Vishnu expansions, there are three types of expansions. So for the first type is the Lord Vishnu expansions of Krishna. So that includes Balaram, that includes Vishnu. Then there is internal potency of Krishna, the ones that give pleasure to Krishna. Who is that? Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani, who is the pleasure potency of Krishna. Ahladini. And from her comes everything. For example, all the Lakshmis come from her. And she also the Yoga Maya. Now from this Yoga Maya also comes the Durga Devi, isn't it? So this Durga Devi also comes from the transformation of this spiritual Yoga Maya. When she touches the modes, then she becomes Durga Devi in the material mode. So there is both Shiva and Durga Devi. They are considered the in this material world. They are the topmost couple. They are involved in all creation. So Lord Shiva has a very, very, very special position, and he is not exactly the complete Supreme Lord. He is a transformation. However, he is very powerful, and he has the complete samvit, the cognitive energy of Krishna. Then he has the Ahladini, a little bit of the pleasure potency of the Lord. So Lord Shiva also has the marginal potency. So, but Lord Shiva is not on the level of Jiva. He is a very special personality. He is a very, very special personality. So therefore, this Lord Shiva, the word Shiva means Mangalakara, means one who is all auspicious. Lord Shiva, the word Lord Shiva itself means all auspicious. The very special service of Lord Shiva to Krishna is as follows. What does he do, which is very special? Now Lord Shiva, he handles those people who are the most difficult to handle in this world. So who are the most difficult to handle in this world? They are the ghosts, goblins, pretas, rakshasas. So if you actually see these ghosts, these goblins, these rakshasas, it's very difficult to actually handle them. But Lord Shiva is so powerful, and if you can see, Lord Shiva sits in the smashana, or the crematorium, cremation ground, he wears the ashes. He wears the ashes. And he puts these ashes on and he stays there. He is completely renounced. To stay in a smashana means to be completely renounced. So Lord Shiva is completely renounced. Lord Shiva heads two very powerful sects. As a Vaishnava, as a pure devotee of Krishna, Lord Shiva heads the Rudra Sampradaya. So Rudra Sampradaya means the Sampradaya which is started by Lord Shiva, which teaches how to worship Krishna. So if you see, Lord Shiva is actually heading a parampara of how to worship Krishna. There are 4 paramparas. The first parampara is Brahma Sampradaya, is one headed by Lord Brahma. So the next headed by Shri or the Lakshmi Devi. The third is headed by the Chatur Kumaras. And the fourth one is Lord Shiva, called as Rudra Sampradaya. And all the 4 are the different of Vaishnavism, are the different things of Vaishnavism. So if you actually see, Lord Shiva is a very, very special personality who is a transformation of Supreme Lord Krishna, because Krishna, in his original form as Krishna, he cannot do this work of destruction, taking care of the ghosts, goblins, guiding them spiritually, even taking care of the demons. So this work is carefully done by Lord Shiva, who is a transformation of Krishna and who has a very special form. Now, this Lord Shiva heads this Rudra Sampradaya and he teaches us how to worship Krishna. Also, Lord Shiva is called Ashutosha. Ashutosha means he becomes pleased very quickly. Very quickly you can please him. So it is said the devotees of Lord Shiva become very rich very quickly. If you see, there were many famous demons like Mahishasura and Ravana who were also devotees of Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva does not discriminate. He gives shelter to everyone. He is very, very merciful also. And he is merciful to such an extent that anybody who worships Lord Shiva with love, he actually gives them pure Krishna bhakti. So if you worship this Supreme Lord Shiva with all love, finally Krishna, he gives you the supreme knowledge. And this supreme knowledge, there is a story of how Lord Shiva was actually in the Glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Shiva is explaining this Bhagavatam to actually his wife, and the story goes that Lord Shiva is, because he is the authority on how to worship Krishna. So Durga Devi, so when Radharani was in Vrindavan, she explains the Bhagavatam to her parrot. Her parrot is sitting on her finger, and she is explaining this Srimad Bhagavatam to this parrot, Shuka, like who becomes later Shukadev Goswami, to this Shuka, to this parrot. And now she is explaining this Bhagavatam to this parrot. And what happens is, after Krishna, about 5,000 years ago, when Krishna, he left this planet, he went back to the spiritual world. This parrot, Radharani, before she goes back to the spiritual world, giving up this material world, she tells this parrot, "Oh my dear parrot, you stay on this planet and you speak the Srimad Bhagavatam." So what happens is that one day Lord Shiva is requested by Durga Devi, because both Lord Shiva and Durga, they are both devotees of Krishna. They are both devotees of Krishna, and Durga Devi especially requests Lord Shiva can you please explain to me the Srimad Bhagavatam? So Lord Shiva says, to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, one has to be very qualified. And I don't see he has to be a devotee of Krishna, maybe at a beginning stage or at a later stage, but he has to be a devotee of Krishna. And what he does, Lord Shiva, he says, when I explain the Srimad Bhagavatam, he has to be a devotee of Krishna, otherwise he will not understand this Srimad Bhagavatam. So what he tells this Durga Devi, so what he tells Durga Devi, he slowly begins to explain, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he is explaining it in complete trance. He is a pure devotee of Krishna and he is explaining this in complete trance. And before he is explaining, Lord Shiva drives away everybody from that island where he and Durga Devi reside. He drives away everybody so that nobody else is present, because he doesn't find anybody qualified to listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, but whenever a pure devotee of Krishna is explaining the Srimad Bhagavatam, every devotee wants to hear. That is the quality of a devotee, that he is eager to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam from another devotee. Although he might know the entire Bhagavatam, but to listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam from a pure devotee is a very special benediction. So when Lord Shiva is explaining the Srimad Bhagavatam, what is actually happening is that this parrot, Lord Shiva is explaining it to Durga Devi below a particular tree. So this parrot goes and sits on that tree in which Lord Shiva is below, which Lord Shiva is explaining the Srimad Bhagavatam to Durga Devi. And as Lord Shiva is explaining to Durga Devi is thinking, oh, when will the Dashama Skanda come? Dashama Skanda is the 10th canto, which is explaining the Radha Krishna Leela with the gopis. Which is explaining the Radha Krishna Leela with the gopis. So when this Dashama Skanda is going on, so Durga Devi is waiting. Now Lord Shiva is explaining this Bhagavatam from the first canto. And Durga Devi is listening. And she is, as in how Lord Shiva is explaining the shlokas, Durga Devi is hearing and she is saying, So she is giving back the word. So he is able to hear. So Lord Shiva is listening to this and he is giving back the word. So although he is in trance, he is listening. He is listening to what Durga Devi is saying, and he is able to understand that she is listening. But after some time, this sound, you know, a parrot can exactly repeat a sound, isn't it? So this Durga Devi actually falls asleep because she is waiting for the 10th canto, because she is such a elevated devotee of Krishna. She is qualified. She wants to directly listen to Krishna's Leela with the gopis. So then, but Lord Shiva is taking his time. He is explaining each canto one by one, and to Durga Devi. And at that point of time, this parrot, when Durga Devi is asleep, he is so eager so that Lord Shiva does not stop. So he makes that sound, so that Lord Shiva does not stop, because he is a pure devotee. This Shuka, this parrot, is such a pure devotee. He does not want Durga Devi, he does not want Lord Shiva to stop, because the Srimad Bhagavatam from the lips of Lord Shiva is nectarian, is beautiful. So he's listening with great intent. He's listening. It's so beautiful. It is so wonderful to hear. So he's listening. And after some time, Lord Shiva, he gets a sniff. Who is this? Who is listening? Because my wife is asleep now. Durga Devi is asleep. Who is this who is making this sound. So Lord Shiva, immediately he looks around. Where is he? Who is this? Who is this? Who is this? And then immediately he looks up the tree and there is this parrot. Huh? Immediately Lord Shiva picks up his trident and he immediately goes behind this parrot and he's running behind that parrot. And this parrot is so fast because he's a pure devotee. He somehow manages to, because it is Krishna's blessing. So he manages to escape the trident of Lord Shiva. He's running. So this parrot is running. And then what happens is at that time, Vyasadeva is explaining the Srimad Bhagavatam to his wife. And then this parrot immediately goes and enters the womb of Vyasadeva's wife. So he enters the womb of Vyasadev's wife. And this Sukadev Goswami, he becomes, of course, he is a pure devotee. He enters the womb of the Vyasadeva's wife, and he remains there for the next 16 years. So then when Lord Shiva comes to that place and he sees that this parrot has actually entered the womb, and then he's hell-bent on killing. So then Vyasadeva explains to Lord Shiva, no, don't kill. He's a pure devotee. Lord Shiva, it doesn't matter if he's a parrot, but he's a pure devotee. And then there is a beautiful discussion between Vyasadeva and Lord Shiva. So from this incident, it is very clear that Lord Shiva is a Mahabhagavata. He's a pure devotee of Krishna. And he is one of the 12 Mahajanas. Mahajana ena gatasya panthaha. So the path that is traversed by the great Mahajanas is the path meant for common men to follow. Yamaraj, he is a Mahajana. Then Janak, they are all Mahajana. The Chaturkumaras, they are Mahajanas. So similarly, Lord Shiva is also a Mahajana. Narada is also a Mahajana. So they are all in the same category. So they are all in the same category of pure devotees. When Srila Prabhupada, when he came to America and he was preaching this Hare Krishna movement, many a times his disciples, they used to arrange programs for him in different halls and different places. They used to arrange a program. And what happened was, when he arranged those different programs, all the devotees, when they arranged these different programs, sometimes in these halls, it was so big, there were very few devotees. And then the halls were empty. So they would ask Srila Prabhupada, the hall was empty. The class was not a big hit. There were very few people. And Prabhupada used to reply, didn't you see? There was Lord Shiva. There was Narada. There was Brahma. All these great personalities, they were present. So the point is that these great devotees of the Lord, they come to hear a pure devotee of the Lord. So the Mahajanas, like Lord Shiva was speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam, so just like any other devotee, he speaks the Srimad Bhagavatam, then these devotees are eager to hear. So devotees like Narada, Lord Shiva, they are all eager to get their devotees and then exchange the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why Lord Shiva is an authority and he has this Rudra Sampradaya and he is teaching his devotees, his disciples, how to worship Krishna. That is one aspect of Lord Shiva. So that is at a higher strata, at a higher pure devotional level. Lord Shiva is also the head of the Yoga Sampradaya. Like there is Gorakhnath. If you go to Gorakhpur in UP, India, so there is Gorakhnath ji. So this Gorakhnath ji is Lord Shiva. Then there is Adinath, Matsyendranath. So these were all worshippers of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva also heads the teaching of yoga. The teaching of yoga. This yoga is meant to give perfections, siddhis. It is said that many of these devotees of, those who are not pure in their heart, they want siddhis, they want material benedictions. So the point is, why does then Lord Shiva teaches this also, the science of yoga meant to worship Krishna, because he himself says in the end that this is to realize Paramatma within the heart. In the Padma Purana, Durga Devi is asking Lord Shiva, "Oh Lord Shiva, everybody is worshipping you. Whom are you worshipping?" Because Lord Shiva is always sitting in this yoga, in the Siddhasana, and he is meditating. Lord Shiva is meditating. So she is asking Lord Shiva, "Oh Lord Shiva, whom are you meditating upon? Whom are you meditating upon?" So then Lord Shiva says, "I am actually meditating upon Sankarshana, one who controls the mind." So Sankarshana is an expansion of Lord Krishna. So he says, "I am meditating on Sankarshana, Lord Vishnu, who is controlling the minds of everyone." So actually, then Durga Devi asks him, "What is the greatest form of worship? Is this the greatest form of worship?" And Lord Shiva says, "Yes, Aradhana nam sarve Vishnor Aradhanam param." He says that of all the kinds of worship present in this world, the highest form of worship is to worship Lord Vishnu. And then he also says that even greater than that is the worship of his devotee. So when Yamaraja, when Narada, when Lord Shiva, when the Chaturkumaras, when Sanatana Goswami and all these devotees get together, Lord Shiva is dancing ecstatically. He is Nataraja. He is the great dancer. And he dances so ecstatically, so emphatically. That dance is very, very special. So Lord Shiva is actually called Nataraja, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually called Gaur Nataraja. So this Gaur Nataraja is the greatest of all dancers. Of course, Krishna is the greatest dancer, but in this world, Lord Shiva is considered the perfect dancer, Nataraja. So in his form as Nataraja is wonderful. So even in this cricket, Kapil Dev. Of course, the name is also divine. This Kapil Dev used to play this shot. People used to call it Nataraja shot. The way his hands and legs are, in a very, very beautiful position. So this Lord Shiva is called as Nataraja, the most glorious, the most wonderful of all dancers. So this Lord Shiva, he sings a very beautiful song in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this song is in this he is described as being golden in color. The actual hue of the body of Lord Shiva is actually golden. He's beautiful. And how is he? He is golden, he is beautiful, and he has 3 eyes, Tirlochana. He has 3 eyes. He looks very wonderful. So this Lord Shiva, he looks divine. He's very beautiful. So the story goes like this: the sons of these prachetas, and the prachetas, they actually go. This is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 4th canto, 24th chapter. So in this particular chapter, Prachina Barhi, King Prachina Barhi, begets 10 children. So he begets 10 children, and in the womb of Satadruti, so here, so all the sons of this Prachina Barhi, they leave home to perform some kind of austerity, and they meet Lord Shiva. And out of great mercy, Lord Shiva instructs them about the absolute truth. And all the sons of Prachina Barhi meditated So these sons of Prachina Barhi, who were great yogis, they meditated based on the instructions of Lord Shiva, and their meditation was actually on Lord Krishna. So certainly such talks are important, right? So Lord Shiva, the most powerful demigod, second only to Lord Vishnu, is self-sufficient. Although he has nothing to aspire for in this material world, for the benefit of those in the material world, he is always busily engaged everywhere and is accompanied by his dangerous energies like Goddess Kali and Goddess Durga. So this Lord Shiva is so powerful and he is self-sufficient. He is a pure devotee of Krishna. He is completely self-satisfied, but he comes here with a purpose. Just like Krishna, why does he have to come to this material world? He is self-sufficient. He doesn't need to come to this material world, but for the benefit of the devotees, for the benefit of all the jivas, he comes here and he exhibits himself. Why? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham paritrādāya sadhūnām vināṣāya ca duṣkratāṃ dharma samsthapanārthāya sambhavāmi yuge yuge. Paritrāṇāya sadhūnām vināṣāya ca duṣkratāṃ. So why does Krishna appear? To inspire the sadhus. Spiritual life means I see that spiritual spark in you and I fan that spark. And I fan that spark. That is spiritual life. I see you are Atma. I don't see you as Hindu, Muslim, Christian, all these things. I see you as an Atma and I fan that spark of the Atma. That is the goal of a pure devotee. When he sees anybody, he sees, oh my God, this devotee, he is a devotee of the Lord, he is an Atma. Unfortunately, he is suffering in this material world. Let me give him spiritual shelter. Let me give him spiritual strength. This is the goal of a spiritualist. So a spiritualist is actually a devotee of the Lord. A spiritualist is wonderful, is powerful. So therefore, being a devotee of the Lord, he sees always good in others. So this Lord Shiva is being the most merciful because he's a devotee of Krishna. He's so merciful that if he sees anybody is qualified, somebody who is pious and pure in heart, he immediately blesses them with Krishna Bhakti. So these prachetas, the prachetas actually were traveling. They took the words of their father very seriously. What was the word of their father? That they should go out and do tapasya and worship Lord Vishnu. And because they took the words of their father very seriously, because every yuga has a process to worship Lord Vishnu. In the Satyuga, it was meditation. In Treta Yuga, it was yajna. Tretayam yajno makaihi satyam satya tre dhyayato. Tretayam yajno makaihi dvapare paricharyayam kalau tad hari kirtana. So every time, so for every yuga, there is a process of worshipping Lord Vishnu. And in the Satyuga, the process of worshipping the Lord was actually meditation. So they took the words of their father very seriously and they started meditation. So they go and find a very beautiful lake where there were different types of lotus flowers, bluish, red. Some grew at night, some in the day, and some in the var of lotus flower combined. They were very beautiful, swans, cranes. So they found a very peaceful, beautiful lake. There were bumblebees and there were lots of freshness in the air. And of course, that itself makes you healthy. Now in today, we are all smelling this CO2. All we are seeing is these hotels and all these things. We are not seeing anything meditative. So that is why if somebody wants to meditate, he has to go out of the city. He has to actually go to the country. He has to see nature. He has to see purity. He has to smell fresh air. But when the Prachetas saw that this in Satyuga everything was actually a forest, and only in last 150 years in this Kali Yuga there is so much destruction of these cities, and everything is cramped up and everything is just all about money. But in Satyuga it was not like that. It was very beautiful. Everything was forest, and there was food was natural, and people were very, they did not get so much hunger, thirst and everything. Their bodies were very fit. They could go days without food because the nature was so pure and perfect, they could live. Then their whole purpose of this life, when they have good health, there is a good mind, there is everything is in perfect condition, all they do is meditate on the Lord. So the Prachetas, as they were walking in this, and they saw this beautiful lake with these beautiful flowers, suddenly they heard the sound of kettle drums. They heard the sound of beautiful musical instruments. And who comes out of this lake? Lord Shiva comes out of this lake and comes with his wonderful devotees. So Lord Shiva comes out of this lake with all his wonderful devotees, and he is speaking wonderful things. And what does he say? The Prachetas, very fortunate, they see Lord Shiva. Now look at his description. Emerging from the water with his associates. His bodily luster was just like molten gold. His throat was bluish, because of the poison that he actually drunk during the Samudra Manthana. Only Lord Shiva could do it. And he has 3 eyes, Tirlochana, which looked very mercifully upon his devotees. He was accompanied by many musicians who were glorifying him. As soon as the Prachetas saw Lord Shiva, they immediately offered their obeisances in great amazement and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Shiva became very pleased with the Prachetas, and generally Lord Shiva is the protector of pious persons and persons of gentle behavior. Being very much pleased with the princes, he began to speak as follows. Lord Shiva said, "You are the sons of King Prachina Barhi, and I wish you all good fortune. I also know that what you are going to do." So Lord Shiva knows that they are actually going to worship Lord Krishna, and therefore I am visible to you just to show mercy upon you. So Lord Shiva says, any person who is surrendered to Lord Krishna, the controller of everything, material nature as well as living entity, is actually dear to me. Look at the words of Lord Shiva. Then he says, a person who executes his varnashrama duty for 100 births becomes qualified to occupy the post of Lord Brahma. And if he becomes more qualified, he can approach Lord Shiva. A person who is directly surrendered to the Lord Krishna or Vishnu in unalloyed bhakti is immediately promoted to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. So Lord Shiva and other devatas attain these planets after the destruction of the material world. So Lord Shiva is explaining that this spiritual strata, there is Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So Brahman means the Divya Jyoti, which is outside the spiritual world. But as you try to enter Vaikuntha, in the outside there is a layer, and this layer is actually, there is a layer, there is a planet which covers the spiritual world, and that planet is actually lorded by Sadashiva. By Sadashiva. Now Sadashiva is the eternal form. Again, he is the spiritual form of Shiva. He is directly a manifestation of the Supreme Lord, and he is there to protect the Vaikuntha from any unwanted soul entering there. So he filters them. So Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of the Lord, and he is in the spiritual strata, and there he resides with his Durga Devi. So there they are in a spiritual form just outside Vaikuntha. In this material world also, this Shiva, who is expansion of Lord Vishnu, he manifests. And there are 2 different forms. This Sadashiva is actually a transformation of Lord Vishnu. He is transcendental. So that is why he is explaining that one who becomes qualified in this material world, the highest post he can attain through material piety, by the study of all the Vedas, by the study of all the yajna, by the execution of all the yajnas, he actually can come to the position of Lord Shiva. Then he can come in the spiritual world. First he can approach Sadashiva as he becomes more and more qualified, because one has to be trained under pure devotees, and Sadashiva is a pure devotee of the Lord, as we can see. And when he becomes completely qualified, As a devotee of Krishna, he can enter the spiritual world. So then he says, you and all are devotees of Krishna, and as such, I appreciate that you are respectable, that you are as respectable, because a devotee of Krishna is as respectable as Krishna. I know in this way the devotees also respect me, and I am dear to them. Thus, no one can be as dear to the devotees as I am. Now Lord Shiva says, I shall chant one mantra which is not only transcendental, pure and auspicious, but is the best prayer for anyone who is aspiring to attain the goal of life. When I chant this mantra, please hear it carefully and attentively. And Lord Shiva is telling this to the Prachetas, please listen to this very carefully. So Lord Shiva began to speak this to the sons of the Prachetas who were standing with folded hands. So he says, Jitam ta atma vidvarnya swastaye swastirastu me bhavata radhasaradham sarvamsha atmane namaha. Lord Shiva addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the following prayer. O Krishna, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glory is unto you. You are the most exalted of all self-realized souls. Since you are the auspicious for the self-realized, I wish that you be auspicious for me. You are the worshipable by virtue of all perfect instructions you give. You are the super soul, Paramatma. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you as the supreme being. Very wonderful, isn't it? So look at how my Lord, you are the origin of the creation by virtue of the lotus flower which sprouts from your navel. You are the supreme controller of the senses, sense objects. You are the all-pervading Vasudeva. You are the most peaceful, and because of your self-illuminated existence, you are not disturbed by the 6 kinds of transformations. My dear Lord Sri Krishna, you are the origin of the subtle material ingredients, the master of all integration, as well as the master of all disintegration. The predominating deity named Sankarshana as the master of all intelligence, known as the predominating deity Pradyumna. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. My dear Krishna, as the supreme directing deity known as Aniruddha, you are the master of the senses and the mind. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you again and again. You are known as Ananta as well as Sankarshana because of your ability to destroy the whole creation by the blazing fire from your mouth. So the fire with actually Lord Shiva destroys this world originates from Ananta. My Lord, O Aniruddha, you are the authority by which the doors of the higher planetary systems and liberation are opened. You are always within the pure heart of the living entity. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you. You are the possessor of semen, which is like gold, and thus in the form of fire, you help the Vedic sacrifices, beginning with Chaturhotra. So in this way, Lord Shiva sings many shlokas glorifying Lord Krishna. In fact, after glorifying the Vishnus and everything, then he explains the beauty of Lord Krishna. And he says, the Lord's abdomen is beautiful due to the 3 ripples in flesh, because the Lord's belly has these 3 beautiful lines, the beautiful. Being so round, your abdomen resembles the leaf of a banyan tree. And when he exhales and inhales, the movement of these ripples appear very beautiful. So look at how Lord Shiva is explaining the beauty of the belly of Krishna. The coils within the navel of the Lord are so deep that it appears that the entire universe sprouted out of it, yet again wishes to go back. The lower part of the Lord's waist is dark and is covered with yellow garments and a belt bedecked with golden embroidery work. His symmetrical lotus feet and the calves, thighs, and the joints of his legs are extraordinarily beautiful. Indeed, the Lord's entire body appears to be well built. So you can see how beautifully Lord Shiva is describing every limb, every aspect, every beauty of of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So therefore, this Lord Shiva is the master of all yoga. He is the master of all devotees because he is the spiritual master, and spiritual master Guru is considered as good as Lord Krishna. So, as devotees of Krishna, our main focus is we have to understand that this Supreme Lord Shiva is a very powerful personality. He is a pure devotee of Krishna. In fact, his description of Krishna is so wonderful. And then in this particular event where we see how he is describing to these devotees of Krishna the beauty of Krishna, and he's explaining that, giving them this mantra, that you should chant this mantra in order to please Krishna. You should chant this mantra. So the sons of the Pracheta, the Prachina Barhi, the Prachetas, they go and they meditate. They meditate on these instructions of Lord Shiva. So we see that Lord Shiva, his instructions are very powerful. All his actions are exemplary. But one has to have the eyes to see what a powerful sacrifice and what a powerful service Lord Shiva is doing. When the Samudra Mantana was taking place and this poison came out, nobody, the whole world would have been poisoned, but only because of Lord Shiva, who was the only person who could actually touch this poison and keep it in his neck, which is, although his body is golden, but his neck is blue because he kept this poison. Nobody, no other personality can do this activity. So on this day, one should purely meditate on Lord Shiva, on his golden form, on his meditative form. The greatest dancer, Lord Shiva, the greatest devotee of Krishna, Lord Shiva, in his Mahesha Dhama, in his abode Kailasa, he is with his wonderful devotee, Durga Devi, who is also a pure devotee of Krishna. And both this couple, this Shiva and Durga, sometimes Lord Shiva takes up very difficult service. Like Prabhupada says, he has to handle Kali Devi, because Kali Devi sometimes when she kills these demons, she can go out of hand. And Lord Shiva, as we can see, she's dancing on Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva takes up beautiful service, because this very difficult service, because he has to deal with material modes of ignorance, anger, fighting with these demons, and he is actually dealing with so many things. So Lord Shiva has a very difficult service. So he's a very special and empowered personality. So eventually, as sincere devotees of Krishna, as our mind becomes completely focused on Krishna, we overcome all our problems of life, and by the benediction, by the mercy of all devotees, we can actually serve Krishna with great love, if we follow in the footsteps of Lord Shiva. So today's day, we have to pray to Lord Shiva. We have to pray to Lord Shiva. We have to read this chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the reference of the Brahma Samhita is Brahma Samhita. The shloka is actually 45. So the shloka is actually 45. And in this purport, it is explained in great detail how Lord Shiva, the glories of Lord Shiva, the perfection of Lord Shiva. So he is a spiritual master, Rudra Sampradaya. Also, he is the master of yoga. So our the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Krishna, when Krishna was present in Vrindavan, they observed the holy Shivaratri, and they worshipped Krishna with all love. They worshipped Lord Shiva with all love as a great devotee of Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna. So I will stop here. So if there are any questions or comments, kindly let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Anybody on the phone or on the live broadcast would like to ask a question, please come forward. And I wish you all a happy Shivaratri. So wish you all have a happy and a very blessed Shivaratri. And I pray that all of you get the blessings of Lord Shiva, and all of you actually become pure devotees of Krishna. So please pray to Lord Shiva today and get his blessings to become the pure devotees of Krishna. All right. So I don't see any questions as of now. So any questions by devotees on the phone, or any questions by devotees on the? Please let me know. Hare Krishna. So any questions on the phone? Any devotees on the phone? All right. If there are no questions, I will disconnect here. So thank you very much for attending this special class for today, and we will see you all next week. Hare Krishna.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
How do we celebrate Shivaratri, the night of Lord Shiva? What do we do?
Actually, on this particular day, the Vaishnavas, we keep an image of Lord Shiva, and our mood is that Lord Shiva. So the question is, how do we celebrate Shivaratri? So just like we celebrate this Ganeshotsav, so similarly, we celebrate Lord Shiva. We don't do this ritualistically, but we can keep a picture of Lord Shiva. And what we should do is we should read this particular chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll tell you this particular chapter, and this is 4th canto, 24th chapter. If you don't have the book of Srimad Bhagavatam, you can read this online as well on vedabase.net, and in this we are taking the instructions of Lord Shiva, because a guru is pleased when his disciples take the instructions. So the most important thing that we need to do to please Guru, to please Lord Shiva, is to understand what exactly he's trying to say. We need to follow his instructions. So that is very important. So the instructions of Lord Shiva are in this particular chapter. By reading them very sincerely. Also, there is this whole episode of Daksha, King Daksha and Lord Shiva. So you can read that as well. Also, there is this Gita Mahatmya, which is also chanted by Lord Shiva. So these certain books where Lord Shiva is glorifying Lord Krishna, is glorifying the Bhagavad Gita, he is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Reading these literatures and deepening our understanding of Lord Shiva, because ultimately our process is Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana. Sambandha means establishing relationship with the Lord. Abhideya means cultivating that relationship, and actually the Prayojana means the benefit of that relationship. So actually by Sambandha, by actually understanding Lord Shiva, by understanding so we have to understand that this Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of Krishna, and what we have to do is develop that relationship with Lord Shiva. So developing this relationship, for that we have to read the scriptures. So the best way to worship Lord Shiva, the ultimate way, is to actually read Srimad Bhagavatam and read the scriptures, and you will get ultimately you will get that benefit. All right.
You said 4th chapter?
4th canto, 24th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna to all, and hope you have a happy Shivaratri. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai Shri Radha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.